A big thanks to Gymnastic Planet for supporting this episode. Gymnastics is a challenging sport, but having the right tools in your gym bag really does help. Gymnastic Planet is a leading manufacturer and distributor of essential training kit. They provide the best quality products, including world-class speed equipment, handguards, and chalk. They also specialise in club services like venue design, maintenance, and installation. Backed by decades of experience, from competing and coaching to club management, Gymnastic Planet aims to help gymnasts succeed and enjoy their craft. If you'd like to find out more, visit gymnasticplanet.com. In this episode of the Sam Oldham podcast, I'm joined by Casimir Schmidt. At the European Championships this year in May in Germany, he finished 8th all around, breaking the top 10 for the first time at the European Championships. Last year at the Paris 2024 Olympic Games, Casemir finished 13th all around, making him the 13th best all-around gymnast on the planet. Way back in 2012, he was the junior European champion on the vault. He's had an incredible career. Whilst doing the research for this episode, I found out that Casemir has competed in 9 major championships all-around finals, which makes him an incredibly experienced gymnast, and this is his story. Casemir, thanks for joining me, mate. I've really looked forward to doing this. I know when yourself and Bram came over to Nottingham, which was probably not far off 10 years ago now, maybe 7 or 8 years ago, we had a great time. Yeah. We connected. A few years later, we went to the Superstars of Gymnastics. We spent some real quality time together. I've never forgot how generous you were in buying the... I used to love like Lindor chocolate, and you bought me this chocolate. I swear it was like 20 quid's worth of chocolate, and I felt so bad. I've never forgot that, mate, and it's a pleasure to have you here today. I guess just to start off with, you've had a training session already this morning. You're only 2 years younger than me. I think you're the same age as my little brother, Casimir. It's pretty wild to think that at the age of, you're pushing 30 now, you're still on that grind and you're training hard. Just tell me about your life at the moment and how you're doing, mate.
Well, first of all, thank you for the intro and thank you for having me on the podcast. It's an honor, especially to be the first Dutch gymnast to be on the podcast. It's amazing. But yeah, you described it perfectly. I'm pushing 30. It's not easy every day. You also know like you're used to the routine, so it is a thing you should basically do every day. But yeah, this morning we just had a little talk before the podcast, and it was a rough morning, But it's like you kind of go down on like what your body can handle, but you go up in like how good you know your body. So I already told you, like, I was supposed to train till 12, and at 11:15 I was like, Coach, this is not it. I'm gonna have my lunch, I'm gonna do this podcast, and I'm gonna come back in the afternoon with new energy. So let's hope it's gonna be better this afternoon, but probably will. I already feel in a better mindset. Sometimes it's just not it, and you have to listen to your body as well. And yeah, especially when you get older, because it's not that easy anymore. It's not so, your body's not so forgetful anymore,
Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it, mate? Do you find it easier now, Casimir, as you're towards the latter stages of your career to maybe if you have a bad session or you're going for a period of training where you're struggling a little bit, is it easier for you to just walk away and leave that at the gym and not take it with you, or do you still struggle with that sometimes?
I feel like it's easier in the bigger picture to trust the process because you've been through it a lot. So it's like what you said, like if you have a period of a week or 2 weeks that it's really not going well, I feel like then it's easier to trust it. But a session like this is like, it's still in my head. It's like, dang, why did I feel that way? Like, because especially my body is not even feeling that bad. It's just my mind as well. And it's just not an amazing feeling, and I do take that home. But yeah, as you said, it is getting a bit better. I don't know if you experienced that as well, but it's like, it's just a mind game after all, because your body knows how to do certain stuff. It's just a mind game and putting some new elements in, and especially with the new code, we went back to 8 elements, and it is a lot easier on the body.
Yeah, I often feel like, Casimir, maybe having chatted now to a lot of you guys of a similar age that are still competing, a similar answer in that there's still that competitive edge, and maybe the secret to being able to carry on is having that competitive edge and taking it with you even when you leave the gym. And maybe the reason why I was ready to move on was that competitive edge went away, and maybe it's a very key ingredient. I know just before we went live, we were checking your sound and the volume, and I asked who's your favourite athlete, and you said Max Verstappen, which is obviously somebody that is like ruthlessly competitive. So maybe that says a little bit about why now at 29 years old, in 2025 after your first major championships as a junior in 2012. So 13 years later, you're finishing 8th, which, if I'm correct, is that your highest all-around finish that you've had?
Yeah, it was.
And for me, when I had the opportunity to be part of the broadcast in the UK for the European Championships, and when I watch your gymnastics now, Casimir, I think it's better than ever. I think you're still improving.
I appreciate that. I appreciate that.
What is that? What's that been like? Still improving at the age of 29 and getting your best result? Because you'll know, like me, there are a lot of old ideas in gymnastics that your peak is when you're in your early 20s or maybe mid-20s, but there are some guys that are certainly, I would say, they're not following that trend, and they're improving as they get older.
I think I feel like the world is changing, gymnastics world is changing. I feel on the women's side, Simone also proved that you don't have to be 16 and on top level anymore. And I feel like with the guys, it's kind of the same. But on the other side, I feel like I am getting pushed by our young seniors and juniors in my gym because they're amazing. And like it's rough to see that, like, when you're the best of your gym for so long that you feel like people are pushing your level, it's very nice to feel that way, but it's also very like, that's, I got to step up. And then you do so. But to be honest, for this European Championships, my pathway towards the tournament was really bad. Like, I had injuries. I had to be fit very fast. I was mainly planning to do World Championships this year, or at least qualify for Worlds later this year in October. So I took some time off after Paris, went on the tour through America for 2 months, visited my girlfriend in South Africa for a month, took some time off, came back January 12th. That was when I came back, planning on, taking it easy towards the Worlds. And then my coach sat me down. He was like, so our Olympic Committee put some new goals in for like our funding systems. So we got to make top 6 at Europeans as a team. So I was like, that is kind of, that's kind of strict. So he was like, so we actually do need you, or like we would really want you to be part of this team, or at least try to be part of the team. So I was like, okay, I see what I can do, but that's 4 months from now. And, I had a little belly, like I created a little belly. I wasn't fit, I wasn't feeling it. But you do what you got to do, because it's also your income. It's like everybody else's income. The team where you worked with them for the past 4 years towards Paris, you make that, like, it's hard to just say, nah, I'm just going for Worlds. So I was like, I'm going. But 4 months, as you know, it's not a lot of time if you come literally from zero.
Yeah.
So it was rough. Got injured in Stuttgart on my heels. It wasn't really bad, but I just couldn't jump and couldn't land for like 3-4 weeks. So It was just rough. I only started doing vault and floor like 2 weeks before Euros. So it was a bit tight. But I think on experience, on maybe that thing in me that I really want to win. And I got my best results. So it's not always the best pathway that leads to the best results. I feel like it's also the trust that you have, because that feeling that you get after you only have 4 months, you get injured, setback, and then you still feel like you make your routines. It's like you gain so much confidence, and it's like, okay, I can do this any day.
Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? Sometimes when there's a lot of adversity, there are moments where you could quite easily give up or go have a conversation with your coach maybe and say, maybe we need to like not do this or not push, because what if we get injured and then we miss the Worlds? And actually it's not until hindsight, when you've pushed through that and you come out with a great result and you're like, I'm so glad that I was able to be strong enough, because everybody has that like fight or flight conversation in their brain, whether it's, I used to do it when I was a kid. When I'd get on a plane to go to a competition and I was very nervous, my brain would start going, imagine if like the weather stops us from competing, or we lose our gym bag, or my suitcase doesn't make it, and then maybe I don't have to compete. Like, that's like that fight or flight conversation.
But you're kind of like, you would be, that would be sad if we don't have to compete, but that would be nice if we don't have to compete.
It's really
like that little angel and devil on your shoulders, and it's like,
And that never goes away, does it really? No. Like, there's always that fear, and I think that's one thing that maybe young athletes, or even people that have maybe never pushed themselves through those moments of challenge,
don't understand that the fear doesn't go away. The fear's always there. You just learn that feeling is actually quite normal, and you find a way to sit with it and embrace it.
Yeah,
you know.
And I feel like that's also how I taught myself to perform better on major comps. It's not like the fear, but it's more the nerves. Instead of, in my early stages, I always tried to push away the nerves. Like, okay, I'm nervous. Whoa, my heart's racing. Like, I'm even shaking. Like, okay, what am I going to do? It's not there. It's not there. But ever since I started embracing it, and I was like, okay, I am nervous, which is quite normal. I have to perform for 10,000 people to do my routine. And if I don't make it, I'm not going to the Olympics. So, like, obviously I'm nervous. Ever since I'd done that, I felt less nervous. It was very weird. Like, you embrace the struggle, and it's like, oh, yeah, okay, it's not that bad. Of course I'm nervous. Yeah, especially on like certain apps, I'm just like, okay, the first element, shaky arms, just be nervous, and then after that, it's done. Breathe, do your routine, and it works for me now. It's crazy. But on the other hand, I don't know if I would have done the same thing in my early stages of my career, if I would have been able to perform well, maybe it would have gotten worse. Like, you never know.
Yeah, it's a really interesting concept, mate. It's something that I think about a lot. I think embracing the fear and the nerves as part of the performance is really important. It's almost like, it's like that elephant in the back of the room when you shut the door and you want to pretend it's not there. You have to just deal with it head on. And once you can do that, actually it becomes easier. Every time you walk into that arena, it gets a little bit easier because you're more at home with that feeling, and you accept it as
here we go again.
Part of the process. And actually, honestly, mate, when you're retired like me, you miss it, because in my life now, it's very, very rare that I'm ever in a situation where I get to feel nervous or threatened or I have that adrenaline. It's like hardly ever. So whenever I do, I'm like, whoa, this is actually an amazing feeling, because it's so rare in normal life. And I think maybe that's one thing that athletes take for granted, being in that fight or flight mode quite a lot in your life, because and potentially that's why so many athletes struggle after their career and they try and find that high again in
because
other
it's so
things.
Stable.
Yeah, when they're trying to find it.
No, but it's true, because I feel like the main reason most people are in gymnastics and keep pursuing gymnastics is because that little thrill of an element that's super scary, you don't want to do it, you fear it too much, you're not going to do it. You're not going to do it. Okay, you do it once. Ooh, okay, I can do it twice. Ooh, oh, whoa, it's getting consistent. Whoa, okay, I got to put it in my routine. Never. Okay, yeah, I got it in my routine. Then you got to perform it. Shitting breaks, but hey, you finally do it. And that's the feeling, like, basically what I do gymnastics for. And I think with me, like 95% of the people. But also we hate the fear. So, like, why are you putting yourself through this whole thing?
Yeah, I don't think
day after day. It's crazy.
It doesn't make sense to a lot of people that have not been through that experience, I don't think.
No.
Well, just on the Europeans, Casimir, afterwards, so now in hindsight, when you look back, can you remember thinking, there are quite a lot of older athletes here with a lot of experience that have adapted very well to this new code, because it has now dropped to 8 skills, and maybe they have an advantage over some of the younger guys that have always done 8 skills. Does that make sense? Because I noticed maybe athletes like yourself, maybe Joel Plata from Spain, some of the other guys, Andy Tober. I was like, these guys.
I don't know if it's easier to adapt for us. But I think it is more like, it saves you 2 skills. You've done 10 elements for a long time, and it's like, okay, you got to start doing halves, and it's 5 elements plus 5. It's like maybe 1 skill we can overlap, so it's like 6 and 4, 6 and 6, and then when you move that to 4 in a half routine. I just did a half routine on a very shitty day on pommel horse. You still make your half routine, and it's like, that's a half routine. It's 4 elements. And that is easy, because then it's only 4 elements before that. And people who don't do gymnastics and maybe listen to this podcast are like, I don't understand like the difference, but it is such a major difference.
Yeah, effectively.
I think maybe even mentally than physically, that it's just like 4 elements plus 4 instead of like 5 plus 5, which is so much more.
Yeah, I think one of the trends that I noticed in the last, not with the top guys, so maybe not the guys that are competing and they're the top 6 all-arounders in the world, or Japan, China, maybe USA and GB a little bit, but there was a trend where you would have a lot of the juniors come up to seniors and they would have 8 skills, but the 9th and the 10th skill were quite weak. They were like A's or B elements. Whereas for our generation, I think because we came up as juniors doing 10 skills, it was in our head to have 10 strong skills. So going to 8 that's 20% less volume, right? Like
it's so
even the
less.
load, even the amount when you're doing routines, you're doing 20% less of the load. So I imagine for you can notice that difference, and maybe that's why, you know, athletes like Courtney was a great example. He said to me, Courtney Tulloch, I carried on because we're doing 8 elements.
Yeah,
if it was 10 elements, maybe I would have retired, you know. So
I get that.
Yeah, very interesting.
I feel like for me that wasn't like in the picture yet, but I totally feel him, because I was fearing like another whole cycle or another few years, like, oh, it's so much. And then we went to 8 elements. I was like, dang, that is a lot of difference, especially in build-ups. It just saves you a lot of time.
Do you find that?
Sorry?
Have you found that, Casimir, like in your actual training, have you noticed a difference in terms of, and this is maybe an obvious question, but, you know, if you were in the past training to do 10 elements on 5 apparatus, and then let's say yourself, you do 2 vaults because you're a great vaulter, so potentially at times you're training 2 different vaults, so you might have 52 elements to train. I guess if you reduce that number by 20%, all of a sudden now you're doing 5 8s, 40 elements instead, and then 2 vaults, so 42. You're saving 10 elements, so I imagine it must free up more time, or even the session times are reduced a little bit.
It does. No.
Okay, so you're just training the same amount, but
no, but you know the trend of the dismounts now, because we get bonuses on the dismounts. Everybody's training new dismounts, and you know when you're doing the same dismount for years, you're not really training them. It's just like you do your second half, so you do a dismount, and you do one separately on a Wednesday, maybe on a Saturday, and that's it. And now it was like, okay, maybe I could do a triple back from rings. Maybe I can do a double full from P-bars. So it's like you're actually starting to train real new elements, which is hard on my age, but it is kind of fun. But yeah, you get some time for that, because 8 elements, it is a major difference. Especially for me, the most where I feel it is on P-bars. Like my whole career ended with Moy, Tapeld, and then dismount. I can just skip those 2 elements. So the whole part is just in the middle of the P-bars. And like I don't have to go back and forth like those 2 last elements. That saves you like 10 seconds of your routine. That's crazy.
Do you enjoy do you like the new code, Casimir, with the push towards bigger dismounts? Do you enjoy it as a fan? Do you enjoy it? Like, what's your experience of it actually competing on this new code?
I think I do. It brings especially 8 elements plus the dismount. So even if you're like not amazing on an app, but you can do a big dismount, you can decrease the gap. So that is quite cool. And like the whole field is close together. Everything is in between a few points. So that is really cool. I'm fearing maybe a little bit that people are going to do too much and might get injured. But I also trust people and their coaches that they just make normal decisions. But I do like it. It's different. It's different. And I do like innovation in sports, and you always have to try something before you can create something new. So I think it's a good thing, yeah.
What type of athlete do you think the new code suits the most, Casimir? And the reason I asked you that, and I'm going to ask you loads of questions about being an all-rounder, because when you start off doing gymnastics as a kid, everybody wants to be an all-arounder. And even if you are an event specialist, I think you have the most respect for the all-around champion, whether that's at the Europeans, the Olympics, the Worlds, because, you know, they've split their time between 6 apparatus. That's so hard to do. So for you, being a real good all-arounder, you know, you've competed at the highest level. What type of all-around gymnast do you think the new code suits the most?
That is a hard question. I think I don't know if it changed a lot from 10 elements from the old code, but I do think a clean, good routine, but then especially like, for example, on a high bar, if you do a good, clean routine, but you do a double layout, or maybe even a double layout full dismount, you're not going to make it. Like you need like 2-3 big skills on every event, I think, and the rest just needs to be clean. You don't have to go all out, I think, but you do need some good skills, because I struggle to have some real good skills, and I feel like that's also the reason why I can't compete for the medals, because it's just I'm lacking some difficulty. As you said, and thank you for that again, that my gymnastics looks better than ever. I kind of agree, because when I look at back, I'm like, dang, okay, that looks cleaner than normal, but I am lacking the bigger skills. And I feel like if you have those good skills, like 2, 3, maybe 4 on each event, then I feel like you're a competitor for gold.
Yeah. Yeah, that's so very interesting, mate.
It's kind of like a good mix of being a crazy guy and a clean guy. Like you have to have a good mix.
Yeah. Casimir, just take me back to the start a little bit, on what your pathway into gymnastics was like. Because if I'm correct, I remember that you had a sister that was a gymnast. Is she older or younger than you, Casimir?
She's older. She's 4 years older.
Did she do gymnastics first, and that's how you got into the sport?
Yeah. So my sister was already doing gymnastics, and I reckon I was about 3 or 4. So she's 4 years older, so I was 7, 8, and it's funny because she's a coach now. She quit gymnastics and she's a coach now. And she would always try to coach me. Like she would grab my t-shirt. Hence, she was 7. I was 3. She would just grab my t-shirt, wrap it around her hand, and just throw me a backflip. That kind of stuff. It was always upstairs. My parents were downstairs, and then we would give demonstrations, and it was all fun and games. And then my parents were like, okay, but this is getting a bit dangerous and getting a bit out of hand. So maybe you should try out real gymnastics. To be honest, I didn't really want to. I wanted to play soccer.
Okay.
And my mom, I think she wanted me to do judo. But then I tried out for gymnastics, and the coach was like, yeah, you're kind of talented. Like you're pretty flexible, quite strong. So maybe you can just try. Yeah, before you know it, you're training 30 hours a week and you're stuck.
And how do you...
I did like it as a kid already. Not in the beginning year, I think, because, it was just different. But after that, gymnastics stole my heart, and ever since.
How do you compare, Casimir? Did your sister compete at a high level?
Yeah, she did. She was gonna go to the test event for London Olympics.
Okay.
So I think it was like 2011 or 2012 already, beginning of the year.
Yeah.
But then she tore her Achilles.
Oh, wow.
And then she had surgery on that. Wasn't a good surgery. She needed surgery again after a year. Then she had something again with her heel against her Achilles, something like that.
Okay.
Then she had a shoulder surgery, and then she was like, yeah, I think this is not it anymore. Fun fact, then she quit, started kickboxing, first lesson, broke her foot. So that was also not it. But no, she was a good gymnast. Like she was always like, you had like the 5, 6 girls who went to Europeans and Worlds, and then she was like 7, like she wasn't there quite yet. And then when she finally was going to make it, she tore her Achilles. So it was quite rough. Yeah.
And how do you two compare, Casimir? Because that's quite rare to have a brother and a sister that get to a high level. In terms of like, as an athlete, like what physical gifts do you have? Do you share those, or are you different? Were you different types of athletes?
No, we're kind of the same, I think. Our air awareness is quite good. We can both jump pretty well, like naturally. And we're both not the most flexible. So we're both kind of stiff. So I think we do have that in common. And I think we have in common that we don't care to suffer. Like we don't care to suffer during strength. Like we always did the numbers we had to do. Like I've always done that. I still do. Like if my coach says 10, I'm doing 10 or 11, Like, I don't know why, I just like it.
And did that come from, did you have a family background in sport, Casimir? Because
no,
you told me, no, not at all. Why was it that your mom wanted you to do judo? Can you remember why?
She thought it was tough. It was tough for young boys. She just thought it was cool. I didn't think my dad just really cared. He just thought it was unsafe what we were doing. So he was just like, yeah, just do something. My dad played handball for when he was younger, but not on a competitive level. And my mom, I think she did track and field when she was younger, but also not really anymore. Like after that, they're moving, like they're old. My dad's 74, my mom's 68, so they're getting older, but they still move a lot. My mom works out. My dad always walks with the dog like 2-3 hours a day, so like they still move, but they didn't really. I don't really have a sports background. I don't know how my sister rolled into that, to be honest. And like literally, I just rolled into gymnastics because of her, and then the rest is history. We just went on with it, and they've always been so supportive, and they never thought like the training was too much or like, oh, what are you guys doing? They really supported us and our decisions, and I'm really grateful for that.
Yeah. What was when you were growing up and you were a teenager, Casimir, and you're building up towards, let's say, that Junior Europeans in 2012, what was the Dutch system like at that time? And is it similar now? And I guess at that time, were your inspirations Epke, because he was obviously doing amazing things for Dutch gymnastics? Just tell me a bit about that time, mate, around that Junior Europeans in 2012.
I feel like we had EOF, like the European Youth Olympic Festival in 2011.
Okay.
Did all-round final there, did fold final there, no medals or anything. But then I already kind of felt like, okay, maybe I can actually do real gymnastics. Because in the Netherlands, it was Epke, it was Jeffrey, Yuri, Bart, obviously. Like, there was some good people, but the juniors were never like, especially from the club where I was at, like the Junior Europeans was your highest thing. Like, nobody ever reached further than that in the beginning. So you kind of like, you aim for something and then you don't know how far you're going to come. So I'm not going to lie, I didn't take gymnastics too seriously. Like, it was my passion, but I also did have a life around it. Like, I was 16, went out sometimes, hang out with my friends. But I feel like after the European Youth Olympic Festival, I feel like I took it more seriously, because I was like, okay, I can actually do something. If I can do this at the juniors, I feel like I can also just slowly mesh in with the seniors in 2-3 years if I train hard. Also got really motivated by my coach at that time. So that was quite nice. And then obviously I trained really hard and took life very seriously before my Junior Europeans, and then it paid off. So that's already a thing for me that was like, dang, okay. But when I looked up to the seniors at that point, we did have those individuals, but we didn't really have a team. Like, we didn't make the London Olympics there with a team. Like, there was literally nothing. They were so good, but there was no team.
Yeah, it's interesting you say that. Like, even just you saying that there, I mean, if you'd have asked me, okay, can you tell me some historically the top gymnasts from the Netherlands, I would have come up with those names. But, it's been such a long time now. You reminded me, I was like, Jeffrey Wammers and Yuri van Gelder so and Epke, they're three, like, real top individuals. But, it's interesting that they weren't able to produce a team that kind of worked. It was just specialists.
No.
Does that mean that when you were coming into the senior team, Casimir, was there like a funding structure in place at that time?
At the time, there wasn't. We had some funding from the Olympic Committee, but that also included a lot of results. And I think it was, at the time, it was top 5 at Europeans on an event, or top 8 at Worlds. So it wasn't for a lot of people. But then in 2013, I did my first Europeans. And also we had a new head coach, Mitch Venner.
Yep.
Who also kind of had the same observation that I did. He was like, that's the main reason he came to the Netherlands, is that he was like, there's so many good individuals. Why did you guys never make Olympics with a team? That is crazy. So he was like, we're going to make 2016. We're going to make Rio with a team. That's what we're going to do. And we were all like, okay. I don't know about that, but let's go. And I remember our first goal was I did Europeans and Worlds in 2013 as a first-year senior. So that was quite amazing. And then we had Europeans in Sofia in 2014, and he said, our first goal is we're going to be all team final. And we were all like, we're never going to make that. Like, we never did. Like, that's crazy. And then we did, and we qualified 5th. So then we're like, okay, that is quite amazing, because then like you have a good feeling of what we can accomplish. And I feel like Mitch really created that whole system for us. He created a funding system for us. He cut money from one part of the gymnastics world, I guess, and then just gifted it to us for a funding system. He created the beliefs in our head that we can actually achieve something as a team. And for me, to be honest, it was nothing new, because I came from that junior team environment where I could just and then when I came to the seniors, it was already kind of shifted towards a team mindset. So for me, it was very natural, and it suited me well. But I feel like some people did have some adjustment problems because they came from that world. They did 15 years of senior elite athletes for as an individual. So like that is very difficult, I think, to adjust to. But Mitch did that amazingly, and I'm forever grateful for what he did for us and for Dutch gymnastics. Because that is crazy. Because fast forward, we qualified at the test event for the Rio Olympic Games in 2016.
Yeah, that's amazing. That's so.
So that was crazy.
Yeah, that's so cool, mate. Because I wanted to ask you just a little bit about Mitch because I never got to know him very well. But as a kid, I was such a massive gymnastics fan that his voice coming through my TV screen was like the soundtrack to my childhood. And I had the opportunity to meet him a couple of times when I was a young kid, but I never really got to know him well. And I always wondered what his role was in the Dutch team. Could you just tell us a little bit about how involved he got with the coaching side of things and whether or not he was just kind of organising the other coaches and delegating responsibilities and what that looked like?
I was quite young at the moment. I was 17, 18, so okay. I don't know what he did behind the scenes, but I assume he mostly coached the coaches. That's how I feel, because he didn't technically coach us in the gym, in the gym.
Yep.
But I think it was mainly the mindset, just setting out the big lines, the bigger skills, the routine constructions, and it was more like, okay, guys, but if we scored this, they scored that, we are gonna make it. Like, there's no way we wouldn't. The next apparatus mentality was a big thing because we used to, okay, we mess up one event, 2 falls, we're never going to make it again. And then he was always like, but what if other people fall in their 4th event and you already gave it away? So we really worked with that. It was just some smaller mindset things that I think for Team GB was already normal because they come from that environment where you have to perform and have to do well.
Yeah.
And we were always just like, yeah, okay, but if we mess it up as a team, we still have Epke who makes a final. So we still, he saved the nation. That's good. Yeah. I think that's how we felt at the beginning, but he really changed that. He changed, I think maybe that's the best way to put it. You have that circle where you don't get money, so you don't get like apparatuses, you don't get training camps, so you don't perform very well. And it needs to be broken somewhere. Either you need to perform better, so you get more money, so you do better here. And I think he just injected money in there. And that way there was just more, we were capable of more stuff. We can go on training camps. We could actually have a new floor. We can actually have a new P-bars. We could actually train better. And then the results came and then more money came in. So we paid it back. And that is something he really created for us. And I think that was a very big step into Dutch gymnastics for the guys' side. And yeah, I don't know, the beliefs that he... when you have a goal, everybody's face needs to be that way. Like the direction needs to be the same. Either you go like that or you go like that, but we all need that as the end goal. And I think when he came in, people were facing that way, that way, that way. And for some reason, he got us all to turn around, face one goal, Rio Olympics. And we did it. That is, in my mind, that is crazy still.
Yeah, it's amazing, mate, to listen to you talk about that because, I quite often say that... for me, my experiences and the times where I've been involved in the British system, I always wanted to be part of a team and have like a common goal that we're all working towards. And I think that and it's a great analogy that you explained there, when people started to turn and go in their own direction, it doesn't work well. And for me, the better the team performs, the better the individuals are going to perform. It gives you more chances. And I really like that explanation there was brilliant. And it's really nice to know that about him because, like I said, from what I've been told by people, he was just a great human being as well as somebody that loved the sport of gymnastics. Yeah. But I think that's a great example of actually the right person in the right role. They don't need to get involved with all the different pieces of the puzzle. They don't need to coach. Sometimes you need somebody that knows how to put the right person in the right place and how to make them feel valued so they can go and do their job. And maybe that's what he did. That's a really cool story, mate. Just tell me a bit then about that cycle in the build up to Rio, because 2015 you had a great year, right? 2013 you made your senior debut. 2014 you guys qualified. Epke's doing really well at this time as well, so you're getting that team improvement and the individual success. 2015 you have a great year. Just tell me about the lead up to the 2016 Olympic period.
So 2015, I decided to upgrade my volts because I was always like I'm an all-rounder, but I also like did like vault a lot. As you said, 2012 junior European champion. And I feel like it just stayed at the same level at some point after 2012. It's hard to get that half extra twist there. But in 2015, I was like with my coach, like, it's done. We just need to get it done right now. Then we had European Games in 2015, and I got my 2 upgraded vaults in there. And then I took away a silver medal, which was amazing. And I was like, okay, but this is a senior event. Like, I took away a silver medal. With these scores, I can actually make a final in Rio. So really trained those vaults, trained my all-round. 2016, we didn't go to European Championships because we were doing our trials for Olympics. Did my first trial at Dutch Nationals, became second. Yeah, that was good. Then we had the second trial. I think I became 4th all-round, but there was still 6 guys in the team, so I wasn't really too worried, to be honest. Did every major event from 2013 till 2016, helped qualify the team for the Olympics. And in my mind, when you like, everybody says like, yeah, but you're going to the Olympics, right? And you're like, no, yeah, we did the trials, but I don't know yet. But deep down, you kind of know, like, yeah, I am in the team. Like, they can't just leave me. And then I got a call and they were like, yeah, you're not in the team. So that was rough. I'm not going to lie. That was a very rough thing in my mind especially because you are kind of certain, like 99% certain you're going to go. And then did I miscalculate? Without pointing the finger at people, I still believe that I deserve to be there. I still think that I should have been there. But on the other hand, I feel like everything happens for a reason. And there was nothing in my mind that was like, okay, then I'm going to quit now, or I'm super angry. I was just very disappointed. And on the other hand, I also thought maybe I should have done a bit of a better job. Then there was no discussion. That's also another point of view. But yeah, I just picked myself up and continued.
Yeah, it's interesting, Casimir. I had a very similar experience in 2016.
I know.
And my question was going to be, how do you feel now? We're now, not far off, 10 years down the line. Do you look back and do you still feel, actually, like personally, I feel that I should have gone, I justified my place on that team? Or do you look back and go, like you just mentioned, maybe I could have done a little bit more? Or do you just look back and go, do you know what? It was what it was, and things all work out. And
I think it's a mix of all those things. I'm still very sour when I speak about it. Because I still really believe that I belonged there. But if I look back at the facts, there was 2 spots for 3 people. I think I was first or second from those 3 people. But yeah, there was room for discussion because I didn't perform my best in the trials. So if you look back, yeah, you could have made this decision. I think I wouldn't have taken it if I was very objective, but those people did. And yeah, it is what it is. So it's really a combination of all those things.
Do you think it's okay, Casimir? I guess this is a selfish question. And look, that gets brought up quite a lot when I'm having conversations, right? Because it's a big part of my life. And I learned a lot about myself during that period of time. And it was a real challenging time in my life. And I think that created a lot of the frameworks in which I then moved forwards from. Do you think it's okay to look back and because people say you got to move on, you got to let it go, don't feel the pain? But how do you do you feel actually that's quite a good thing because that's just how I feel.
You should look back and you should feel the pain and you should not just be like, no, yeah, it is what it is. I say it a lot, like it is what it is, but I don't mean like I don't care at all. Because I used to fight, I still fight over this a bit with my mom especially and my sister a bit because they don't understand how I can always just be like, yeah, it is what it is. Just move on. And it's not because I don't care or I don't think about it. It's just like, I'm not going to let that thing get in the way of my happiness right now. And that's how I feel. Of course, when I think about it, I get mad, I get upset, and I'm like, dang, okay, I feel robbed, But on the other hand, I do feel like I am very happy where I'm at right now. I'm in a happy place. I'm a happy guy. And I know some people are not happy, So... you're already in an advantage. And some, you know, those cringy quotes that you read sometimes. I read one like a few weeks ago, and it was like, somebody is actually dreaming of the life you live right now. And then I'm like, dang, yeah, that is so true. And then why are you gonna think about what happened like 10 years ago? But on the other hand, don't forget, because it also made you the person that you are right now.
Yeah. Very interesting, mate. And yeah, I probably feel somewhat similar. You know, I think it's important. Like, if you feel like there was an injustice, then you can say it. But you're right. I mean, whenever I find myself in a period of self-wallowing where I'm like feeling sorry for myself, it's always when I'm looking at the past. It's never when I'm like present or thinking about the future. It's always looking at something that happened. So I try not to spend too much time there, but it can also be a big driving force and a motivator moving forwards, right?
I really don't think it's a bad thing to think about stuff like that. It's just, nobody likes a sour person. Like, you don't want to be a sour person. You don't want to become that person that is like, yeah, but this happened to me. It's like, you know, I'm here right now, but, you know, despite what happened to me, you know, you don't want to be that person. That's how I feel. Like, it is very shitty that what happened to you, to me, but you know what? We were not the first, and we're not going to be the last. So
no, and actually, like,
that is,
it's despite that, right? Like, you have to keep going. That's the example you set for other people, because you're right. Life just isn't fair. And you did that, mate. Like, you went on and you did something that is relatively unique in a sport of gymnastics, and you made an Olympics at 28 years old. After that disappointment in 2016, just take me through your journey then to becoming an Olympian, because I imagine there were times where you probably thought, this is never going to happen for me, maybe, or it's the end of the road. Like, how is this going to play out? Just take me through that journey, mate.
Missing 2016 was rough. We spoke about that now. Then obviously I was like, okay, you know, in 4 years, there's another one. Why not make that one? 2017 was not an amazing year for me. You know, I didn't perform well on the major events. 2018 was better. We made team final in the Doha World Championships. We became 7th in trials. And, you know, a year before you actually have to qualify for Olympics, that was amazing, because we're like, okay, we can actually do even worse than this and then still make top 12, which is a qualification for for Tokyo, sorry. But yeah, I think that was also our downfall. 2019, our difficulty was not enough. Obviously, the other countries learned from that. They were like, whoa, okay, we didn't make team final in Doha. We didn't become top 12, so we have to pick up our game. And yeah, we didn't. So we kind of stayed at the same level. Everybody else, increased their difficulty and their E-score even. And yeah, for us, it was just, we also didn't have the biggest competition, and we lost the belief during the competition. We started off on floor, I remember that, and we did good routines, but we did not get the scores. Like, our routines got, like, you know, when you have that score in your mind after you do a routine, I feel like all of our scores were like 3-4 tenths lower, and like on a 3 counting team, that's like a point. Same on pommel horse, and then you already know, like, we're not making it. Like, we're not making the top 12. The belief just runs out of your body, and at that point I was like, okay, so we're not going to make it as a team. We can't, like, we will never make that anymore. So how am I going to make it? That's becoming the best all-rounder from the Netherlands. And I remember Bart fell on vault. We were kind of battling against each other. Then I also fell on vault. P-bar, we got the same score, and well, we all know Bart has an amazing high bar, and I don't. So I kind of knew already, like, in the comp, like, okay, this is not gonna be it. So yeah, Bart qualified for the Olympics there, and then we went through a World Cup system where Epke qualified as well. So we had 2 amazing guys. I was pretty disappointed we didn't make it as a team, but it was just not our day. It was just not it. And I feel like it was more disappointment. I didn't feel any sourness. I was just like, I came short as an individual, and as a team, we just messed up. And that is easier to accept than thinking you're supposed to be on a team and you're not.
Yeah.
So that one actually wasn't that bad. Then I heard after that there was another opportunity at European Championships. Then COVID happened, so that European Championships didn't happen. Then the Olympics was moved to 21. Then we had Europeans in 21 before that. So then the top 2 all-rounders could go to the Olympics still. But then you still had that extra spot. So I believe a Russian guy took 1 spot extra for Russia, and Adam Asil, I think, the Turkish guy, took the other spot. And then it was Nicola Bartolini from Italy, and then me. So I just missed out on that one again. I remember I canceled my all-around final and we went home. It was in Switzerland. We were with the car, so I could just drive home. Because my mind was just, okay, another Olympics missed. That is not the most amazing feeling. Again, after that, I was like, I am going to go through to Paris. Like, I am going to try make it in Paris. But I also made a promise to myself that I was not going to depend my happiness on making or not making the Olympics. I felt like at that point that I had a good career. And I was like, if I don't make it, then I still have these amazing memories, amazing accomplishments. And then it wasn't meant for me. It didn't mean like I wasn't going to work hard, but for me, it was like, okay, then it's just not for me. And maybe because of that mindset, I could be doing gym like a bit more freely. Yeah. Like I just felt more comfortable. There wasn't a lot of pressure on it. And then we have 22. We had some injuries. Then there was a new system. We had to make top 13 at Europeans to even qualify a team for Worlds. First Europeans, I think we became 12th. And the second one, we think we became 13th. So we just made Antwerp 2023, which is funny because my first World Championships was in Antwerp as well in 2013. And then exactly 10 years later in the same city. And yeah, we knew what we had to do. We were in the last sub of the first day. And we saw the scores and we knew if we scored above 245, I believe, we were like above this train of 4 countries or something. And then we knew like, okay, we have a good chance, but we have to make it. Yeah, I don't know. The flow of the competition was so good. We just started off, and it's all in that mindset again. We started on rings, and we're not amazing on rings, but we just got the scores that you expected to get after your routine, and then it just in your head is like, wow, okay, that's good. Fold, everybody landed. Okay, that's amazing. P-bars, everybody went through. High bar, everybody went through. And it's like, whoa, 2 more events. We can actually pull this off. And I remember floor was good, and then pommels, the first guy messed up. And then you already know it's the last event. Oh, second guy, amazing. Laurent, very good, but like not as tight as we wanted to and he wanted to. And his score was very good, but like 4 tenths lower than normal. So we were like, oh. And that moment, I knew I was 4th up on pommels. And that moment that I played that in my head a million times beforehand. And I was like, all scenarios are there. We never going to make it. We're like 5 points off of that 245. Then it doesn't matter. We already made it with Laurent's score. I don't even have to push up a score, amazing feeling. But I kind of knew, like a week before already, I know I just have to stay on. I know. So I see the team total, and I remember what the first guy had, and I was like, yeah, I have to stay on. Like it didn't have to be perfect, but I just had to stay on. And I remember I grabbed those handles and I was like, I am going to stay on. Like there's not even a question in my mind. Open my legs, I think, in my second element. But after that, I was like, I'm going to make it. Usnari felt like it was in slow motion. But I went through and then did my Margishivado, did my dismount. Remember saluting to the judges, but also knowing like it was enough. And that was a crazy feeling because we knew we beat that whole train of countries. And yeah, then you don't know anything because there was a second day of quals, but we kind of knew we have a good chance, and we made it. So that was amazing.
What's it like, Casimir, in those moments? Maybe that routine, that type of a routine in that situation, and I know you're very experienced, but maybe that only happens a handful of times in your career. When you're in that moment and you put your hands on the handle, is there a conversation you're having with yourself in your head? Do you go into autopilot mode? Have you visualized it so much in the week before that it just kind of happens? Can you remember what was going on in your head?
I remember everything very clearly. It's weird because I have this thing, I don't know, it's kind of weird. On Volt, when we do like a training at the venue, so like the podium training or in the training gym, I look at the measurement tape and I'm like, okay, this is my distance. And in my head, I say to myself, in like 4 days, you're standing at this exact same spot and you have to perform. And then after those 4 days, when I actually have to perform, I look at the measurement tape and I'm like, you see, 4 days ago, this is that moment. And it's kind of a funny thing that I do to myself because it takes me out of that performing environment and like that it's all seriousness, like, yeah, you see? And I remember I did that on podium training on pommel horse when I did my routine. And I remember I said to myself, this is the moment. In 3 days, I'm going to be standing here and then I have to do well. And you already know, like, you have to stay on. And with that fact in my head, I was like, now I'm doing my routine on podium training, made it through. So when I did my comp, I raised my hand, grabbed the handles, and I was like, you see, there we are. Now it's just you and the pommel, let's go. And then I just went. I didn't even focus long. I just knew I was going to go through. It was a very weird feeling because I think I've never had that feeling, especially on pommel horse, that I knew I was going to go through, and I just knew.
Yeah, amazingly.
So that was very cool.
What an amazing feeling to qualify your team for an Olympic Games.
Yeah, and Antwerp is like in Belgium, so it's like an hour and a half drive from Amsterdam, and a lot of my family, a lot of my friends, teammates, the whole gym was there, and like they all applauded, cheering. That was crazy.
What was your road like to the Olympic Games from Antwerp to the Olympics in Paris? Was it pretty smooth sailing? Were you in good physical shape?
Yeah, to be honest, it was. I took some time off after Antwerp, did some Bundesliga still after that, and then after that I went to Bali for 3 weeks, had some time off, started back beginning of Jan, like Christmas days, then beginning of Jan, started training real hard. Had a few upgrades, and I don't know, I didn't get any injuries, didn't get small stuff. I was actually feeling amazing. I felt good. And yeah, I just felt like this is going to be my year. Now I'm actually going to make it. And I didn't even think there was like one day I believe that I was like, what if I get injured now? That will be very, very rough. But after that one moment, I was like, yeah, then it is what it is. Like, I'm not doing that on purpose, and let's just go. And it was just it was a smooth sailing journey.
It's actually really interesting, mate. The little conversation we had about embracing the fear and the nerves of a competition, and you learning over time to channel that in the right way. How important do you think it was, Casimir, when you look back now at the latter stages of your career, post-Tokyo 2022, to have that mindset shift and have that very honest conversation with yourself that maybe I might not make it to the Olympic Games, but if I don't, I've had an incredible career? Because listening to you, I feel like, again, it's the same conversation around the fear. You're accepting the worst case scenario is that I don't make it. Okay, that's okay. And from that moment, it's almost like you're free then. Like, I know, it's not going to hurt as much as it did in 2016. It's fine.
Yeah, I also realized that it's just that one sticker in your head that it's like, yeah, I made the Olympics. So you can tattoo the Olympic rings on you, and that's basically it. Like, it's not more than that, because you also know, like, the village, the whole Olympics, it's a very amazing experience. Now I've experienced it, but when you get into that bus, it's just the World Championships with less people. That's it. So it is very amazing, but it's just another big tournament that you've already done 20 times. And how many amazing memories have you made? How many accomplishments have you achieved? And when I thought of then I was just like, of course I want to go to the Olympics very bad, but if I don't, then I don't. It is what it is. I've done the European Games, which is also amazing. It's just sad that it's not a big thing in Europe, because if you look at all the other continents, it's a very big thing when they have their continental games. But I've done so much good stuff, and it was just, it is what it is. I'm free now. Like,
When you look
can
at
just
when you look
prepare
at your
for
career,
Paris.
Casimir, like sorry to interrupt you there, mate, but
No, all good.
when you look back at your career, to have competed in 9 major championships all-around finals, in all of that
you
time,
said that. I didn't
yeah, it's
even
an
know
amazing
that.
statistic,
Yeah.
mate. It's really good. Like
I didn't know that.
to have been between 10 and 20th position, and number 9 now is 8th for Europeans. To have kept up that consistency over that long period of time, what do you think that's down to? What's helped you be able to achieve that? Because that's a really amazing achievement, mate. As an all-around gymnast, you know,
I really appreciate that.
I only had the opportunity to do that once at major championships in an all-around final. To do that 9 times, you know, I have a lot of respect for that achievement. What would you put that down to? That consistency over that, you know, that's a decade you've been able to do that.
I think ever since I moved back to this club when I was 14, 15, I worked with my former coach. We worked together for like a small 10 years. We were focusing so much on rehab, prehab, injury prevention, all those little things. My whole morning session, 2.5 hours, was just injury prevention. No gymnastics, just injury prevention for a whole year. Then the second year, there was a little strength with it. There was a little strength more. There was a little more strength. Then there was twisting. There was the basics, like the whole funding. The fundament is just so big right now that I think my coach is sometimes surprised when he says like, yeah, I think this guy, like his shoulder. And I'm like, oh, I think you should do the, but he's like, yeah, I was thinking the same thing. You know, like those little things that I've done so much when I was younger. I think that fundament is just so big. I think that's why I can always fall back on like my base. My base is pretty big, and I think that's it. And otherwise, I'm just lucky, man. I can't explain it any other way.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm not sure that it's luck, my friend.
I work really hard in the gym.
Yeah.
I really try to put in my numbers. I never walk away from like challenges. Like even this morning, like I tried so many times to just do a good session, but then at some point you just have to accept. I'm also not afraid to take my own decisions. It's like, you know, especially like after Antwerp, I said to my coach, I'm going to go away for 3 weeks. I need time off. And he was like, are you sure? Because, you know, 3 weeks is like a lot. And this summer, the Olympics. And I was like, yeah, because I need it. I feel like I need it. And I done 2 weeks the year before, and I felt like that was not long enough. I need 3 weeks. I need the time off now. It's been a very rough year. I need the time off, and it paid off. Like I felt rested when I came back, and I think sometimes those decisions are not easy to make. You know, like you've worked with a coach, and coaches are very nice. It's your best friend in the gym, but it's still your coach. They scare you a lot sometimes. So then to just say like I'm going to go away for 3 weeks, it's not easy. And I feel like that is also maybe a reason why I can sustain it for so long, because I just take my time off when I need it. I take my breaks. Yeah,
I mean,
I think that's also it.
You're clearly doing something right in your decision making, mate, because to even be in the position to compete in 9 all-around finals, it means that base and those fundamentals and that physical preparation, it has to be right, because, you know, that was probably my biggest problem, was that by the end of the year, the second half of the year, I was already burnt out and I never made it to the start line. Yeah,
and I've experienced that before as well, and it's a very rough feeling because you put in the work so much, but you just don't get rewarded for it. And
yeah.
I also do like to do stuff outside of the gym still. So I always tell people in Dutch then, but I always say gymnastics is my life, but my life isn't gymnastics. It's a very simple saying that I just like to say because it is true. Like really gymnastics is my life. Like I don't know what else I have like besides gymnastics in that sense. But on the other hand, my life isn't gymnastics. Like I have so much more. I have hobbies, and I do like to spend time with other people doing stuff outside the gym. And I feel like as long as I do that, I stay happy. Yeah. And you know, when you're happy in the gym, you perform so much better. Trainings don't feel that hard, don't feel that difficult. And
Yeah.
For me, that really works well.
Yeah, I think people underestimate actually just being happy and being free and being able to express yourself the way you want to.
Yeah.
I've got a couple more questions, mate, just to finish off. One question I'd really like to ask you, having competed in 9 all-around finals, you must have witnessed some incredible gymnastics. Are there any moments or routines that stand out when you think about those finals?
My first all-around final, 2013, Antwerp. Became 18th on my first all-around world championships, which was, in my head, was like, oh, this is just the beginning. Well, it's still almost my best result yet, so. But I remember I started on vault, and I was just sitting down, and I remember Uchimura on the floor, and like the precision he had in his routines was amazing. It was just crazy. And I remember my coach I remember this. And I was like, what? He was like, you have to do vault now. And I was like, oh. Like I was just watching. I was watching the whole competition while doing my competition. I wasn't even focused at all. I was literally just like, well, I've watched these guys on YouTube for 5 years, and like now I'm just competing with them. That is absurd. Like that is crazy. I think that was my first all-round final, and also the one that's just, it's gonna stick with me forever. That moment that I was just like, oh, do fault, and then I just did a cast 2.5, landed, presented. Yeah, I can go back to watching. I didn't even. Of course, I wanted to perform well, but I just wanted to do my routines fast and quick, so I could just sit and watch.
Amazing, mate. And was there a moment really cool, or a routine that maybe stood out from competing in Paris in that all-around final? Whether it was one of your own routines or maybe watching somebody else perform a routine?
To be honest, I was very focused in Paris during the all-around final, so I didn't really see a lot. I remember thinking, like, you know when you speak about, whoa, Olympic all-around champion? That one is created right now. That's what I was thinking. I was like, I'm just doing this competition. I'm going to do the best of my ability. But, I'm going to be somewhere between 10 and 20 probably. So, but there is one person who's going to win. And that is crazy in my head. Like, he's going to be the new Olympic champion. And but what sticks with me is that high bar final of Paris. That was crazy. That is also like, how?
Yeah, sometimes it goes that way, right? Like high bar is one of those apparatus where it sometimes can go that way.
A routine that I will always treasure is probably Epke in China 2014 Worlds on high bar. I remember we were all sitting together. We were screaming so loud. And for him we had a very bad World Championships there. We didn't have any all-round final, no other event finals. We just had to make, I believe, top 24 as a country to continue with the teams to Worlds. And I think we became 18th or something. We didn't do amazing, but wow. Epke was, to perform on that level for so long, to make final after final and then just do that in the final, that was crazy. He's a madman.
Yeah, incredible. I remember that routine was an amazing routine. And I think because it was in China, they were pushing Zhang Chenglong and he was getting scores that I didn't feel like he should have been getting. So I was really happy when he performed that routine.
Yeah.
Casimir, this has been a great conversation, mate. I've really enjoyed it, and I hope our paths cross again in the future. And maybe you can come over back to Nottingham. The gym has changed a lot, and we can do some training. But just to finish off, mate, do you plan to train up until LA 2028? And then the second part of that question would be, if that's the case, or maybe it's not, and you're going to take it as it comes. What do you have to do you believe, Casimir? Because I think this is a great, this might bring some real great value to anybody that's in a similar position that maybe thinks, 28, should I really have big goals anymore? What do you think you need to do to go from being top 10 now in Europe to doing that on a global stage, whether that's a World Championships or an Olympic Games? How do you break into that top 10? What do you think that is?
First part of your question, I really want to continue until Worlds Rotterdam next year, for sure, because I feel like doing something back for the Dutch gymnastic community, having a World Championship in my own country, I've never experienced that. As I told you, in Antwerp, it was already crazy. I can't imagine in Rotterdam. So I really want to try to qualify for that one. And then in my head, I'm like, I'm just going to see it year by year, event by event. Maybe I'll skip the Europeans, maybe try to go to Worlds, there's also younger guys coming up, so I don't feel the pressure that I actually have to do every event and every major event. But as long as I don't wake up thinking this is it, I will probably continue, because I still love gymnastics. I love the challenge. I don't have anything else that I love as much as gymnastics. So as long as my body will let me and my mind will let me, I will continue until LA. But after that, there's a big chance that it's done, because, you know, there is a time to quit, and I think it's after that for sure.
Yeah.
Second part of your question, I know what I have to do, and that's what we talked about in the beginning of this conversation, is that I need my bigger skills on every event. And the thing is, I can already do them. It's just not, I don't feel comfortable enough performing them on competitions. But in my head, I don't know if I'm going to do it on every event, but in my head, I'm like, I really need to. Otherwise, I'm just going to be stuck in that position, which is also nice. But how amazing would it be if I can make a top 8 on a World Championships or a top 8 in LA, you know? So I still have my goals, but I know what I have to do for that. And if I don't, then I know I have to accept that the position I'm in. Like, I'm not delusional, and I know I'm not going to medal if I don't step up. You know, so I am going to try, but I can't make any promises, but I'm trying.
Yeah, mate. Well, look, mate, amazing conversation. And yeah, I guess, you know, I'm someone that is a few years retired from gymnastics now. And yeah, my advice would be just do it as long as you can, man, because there's nothing
you
quite...
You can still come back. So.
We'll see. I don't think so. I think I'll be in trouble. I think I'll be in a lot of trouble from Connie, but we'll see. I still swing on high bar. I swing on high bar.
You swing better than I am.
Yeah.
So,
Oh, I'm not sure, mate. I saw your bar routine at the Euros was great, mate. Again, improving as you get older. So just keep at it. I'm going to follow your journey and your career, my friend, and you'll always be welcome, like I said, to come back on, and hopefully
thank you, and appreciate
our paths
that.
will cross. And yeah, keep going, mate. Do it for the older guys. Yeah, do it for the old guys.
Yeah, of course. Do it for the grandpas. And no, thank you for having me on the podcast. And I hope I see you soon, man.
You're very welcome, mate. Thank you so much, Casimir. Thank you.